so grateful you're here, and you are in for a treat because this segment, I have my friends Denise and Oliver Marcelle of Denali. Denali is a marriage enrichment company founded by Denise and Oliver. Their goal is to help married couples communicate without frustration and judgment to increase intimacy and build the relationship of their dreams. As authors, speakers, and marriage strategists, they share their journey to encourage and inspire others on theirs. Denise and Oliver can't promise that they'll save every marriage, but they promise that they'll do everything in their power to help you save yours. Welcome, Denise and Oliver. How are you guys doing?
Thank you.
Hey, we're good.
We're doing good. Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us.
We're honored to be here. Yeah.
This is awesome.
I love chatting with you guys, but I just read your fancy professional intro, but tell us what you really want the Summit viewers to know about you guys.
Man.
We want Summit viewers to know that your relationship can work. It takes work, but it can work.
Yeah, that's in a nutshell, we're passionate about relationships. Yeah. And there are some things that if you are willing to make the commitment, that you will see the results that you're looking for. Yeah. And it sounds simple. And yes, there's some things you're going to have to do and some things you're going to have to make up in your mind. But if you determine in your heart, this is the relationship I want, and this is how I'm going to go after it, and you do it, you're going to be all right.
That's such a great message for this generation, I think. So for everybody listening, that blanket about marriage, but really about anything, right?
True.
Yeah,
True.
Pretty much.
True.
Yeah.
Make the commitment, put in the time, get the results.
That's good.
Love it. Love it. Okay, so for our time together today, I want to talk about this idea of building experiential intimacy. So tell us what that is and how we can get more of it.
Man, so for us, right, experiential intimacy is that opportunity to do two things. So we'll jump right in, right? That opportunity to do two things. One is to be in the same space and to have a common goal. And it just allows you to be able to be in close proximity with the person that you care about, or the person that you're trying, if it's a reconciliation kind of thing, the person you're trying to reconcile with. And it gives you an opportunity to just incorporate all of the other types of intimacy, right? Because there's going to be some conversation, if the right experience is chosen, conversation. There's going to be some level of emotional intimacy, some physical intimacy as it relates to space. So experiential intimacy in a nutshell is the opportunity to get in the same place with a common goal.
Yeah. So I'll give an example of what it is or how we, for us, what we do to get the experiential intimacy. We love to go on long drives, not necessarily with a destination in mind, but we'll say, let's go for a drive. It's nice out. It's sunny out. It'll be a way for us to connect and be together. Let's just get in the car and go in this direction and just drive for an hour or two. And we love to do that. And when we do that, obviously, physically, we're sitting close to each other. And then out of that, too, sometimes comes some conversations. Sometimes they're deep. Sometimes they're, frivolous, and sometimes it's funny. But just the act of us being together in the same space, it kind of connects us a little bit more. Sometimes we like to cook together, and that also puts us in the same space. And, if you watch a movie together, or you're cuddled up together on the couch, all of these types of things are ways to have that experiential type of intimacy. And we do those things. We love doing those things.
And Monica, the thing that I love about experiential intimacy, because there's several types, right? We all know that there's sexual intimacy, physical intimacy, emotional intimacy, conflict. There's so many different kinds. The reason why we love experiential so much is because if you think about some of the others, so if I tell you, hey, we're going to work on emotional intimacy today, right? It's going to kind of feel like a chore a little bit, especially if you're not used to it. Oh, I got to figure out how to open up. I got to make sure I'm saying the right words. I got to be in, you're overthinking sometimes.
Yeah.
Whereas with the experience, if I tell a couple, and I'll pick something, silly. If I tell a couple, hey, I want you to go to IKEA, buy a small piece of furniture and take some time and put it together, right? Now there's going to be some jokes. There's going to be some laughs. You find you're bonding without even knowing that you're doing it. And you're incorporating all of these other types of intimacy without even knowing that you're actually working towards that goal.
Yeah.
And so that's what we love about experiential intimacy, because it allows you to do those things without feeling like you're doing those things.
Yeah. You're bonding, like you said. That was a key word, bonding.
Yeah. I love that. That's assuming that they can figure out the instructions and put together the thing from IKEA.
There's that.
Thank you.
There's
and that
something out of the experience. That's for sure.
Right. That particular one, you'll have to figure out how to communicate, how to resolve conflict. Because those instructions are a killer.
I love it. So I want to know what you mean when you say we should indulge our way to intimacy.
Okay, so I'll give you another example. How we came up with that phrase is, a lot of people don't know, but I'm British. I was born in England. And so obviously I drink a lot of tea. And so when we first met, he wasn't really a tea drinker. And he would be like, girl, you drink enough tea for the whole wide world. You're always drinking tea. You love tea. You love tea. But I think that, he was like, she's so content when she's drinking the tea. She just loves to do that. Let me get in on this. And, it's a way for him to come into my world, so to speak. And when I saw that he was doing that, he'd be like, you know what? I want a cup of tea. I want to experience what you're experiencing. I want to, see what this is all about. And more importantly, I want to spend time with you in your world, in those things that you like to do. And so, at first he was like, oh, this is okay. It's good. But he knows that I like to do that. And so for him to want to do what I want to do, he was kind of indulging me with my pleasures. And as a result, now he drinks tea probably more than I do. But it was his way of indulging me and being in the same space with me again, experiential intimacy, and just kind of doing those things that I like to do. He indulged me in spending time with me. And so that's why we say indulge your way to intimacy.
Yeah, it's something we tell couples all the time. When you're looking for these experiences, we tell them to look for experiences that take you out of your comfort zone and think outside of the box when you're choosing these experiences, and also do something that your spouse enjoys, right? Because what that does is, one, I'm acknowledging the fact that this is important to her, right? And so that level of acknowledgement alone does wonders for your relationship. And then I also get to spend some time with her, because I'm realizing, wait a minute, every time she drinks this tea, she's curled up on the couch. She looks so content. I'm like, I want in on that. Like, I want to be there too. Yeah. And so in order to be there, I had to grab my cup of tea. And then we realized, man, the conversation was great. We're laughing and joking. The time is flying by. And I'm like, man, I like this.
Yeah.
And so what's the way to continue to get this? When tea time comes around, let me go ahead and grab my mug and get in on it. And so I think it's really important to be willing and open to look at some of the things that are important to your spouse, because we're different people, right? You're going to like different things. I'm going to like different things. It's important to have that acknowledgement piece. And then from that acknowledgement piece, do some things that your spouse enjoys, make them feel wanted and needed and accepted in that space. And you'll begin to see some different interactions between the two of you as a result.
Yeah, because when I saw him doing that, it made me feel like, wow, he really is. I know he's not a tea drinker, but I appreciated that he wanted to do something that I liked to do. And so, that kind of warmed me up to him a little bit more. It's those things where your spouse does those little things that make you kind of fall in love with them all over again. It was one of those types of things. And so I really appreciated that he went out of his way to do something that he wouldn't have done by himself. But because he knows I like to do it, it kind of, warmed me up to him a little bit more, made me fall in love with him all over again. He was indulging me in those things that I like that wasn't necessarily his thing.
Yeah, and through that indulgement, is that a word? Let's make it up.
Indulging.
Yeah, let's make it up today.
It's a word.
And through that process, our level of intimacy grows as a result.
Yeah.
I really love that. It's really interesting because my husband and I were having a conversation this morning, and he was talking about how much he's looking forward to the fall. He's like, because there will be football and, basketball and all of these things that he really looks forward to in the fall. And in my mind, I was thinking, I don't really look forward to those same things.
Yeah.
However, I do love that he's a very hard worker, and he works his season that he works really hard is in the summer. Like his business is very busy and strenuous in the summer. So I know he looks forward to indulging in those things in the fall. And so I was thinking, I heard that and I went, you know what? I'm going to make sure that I schedule in some time that I can just sit by him and watch a game, even if I don't know who's playing. I love watching sports. It's not that I don't love it, but like if I'm not connected to the team, I don't love it. It's not my thing, but I'm connected to him. And so if I can schedule in some time and just be close to him and not have anything else on my agenda, but just, hey, like enjoy this game with him because he loves it so much. And it's relaxing and we're in close proximity. Like you're saying, I love that. Like, as you're saying that, it's explaining what I was feeling in the car. I was like, I feel like I need to schedule in some time to be close to him and watch these games, even though it wouldn't be my first preference.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But it would definitely make me feel close to him. So
yeah. And you said something crucial, Monica. You said you might not be connected to the game, but you're connected to him.
Right.
Right. And that's the key.
Mm-hmm.
If you're being diligent and intentional about connecting with your spouse, right? You're going to make certain adjustments. You're going to do certain things. You're going to try certain things. You're going to acknowledge certain things, not necessarily because that's your thing, but because you're connected to the person who enjoys that thing.
Yep.
And if you're anything like me in our experience, because I'm going to tell you right now, tea is nothing but brown water to me. I don't understand what the great thing about brown water is. But the more I did it, as she said, now I'm actually in the store picking out tea for myself. Like, oh, I want to try this.
Yeah.
And never, if you had told me this 10 years ago, I would be in the store picking out tea, I'd be like, you got to be kidding. Never. So, you just never know how that level of intimacy will grow. Yeah. And as your level of intimacy grows, your bond deepens.
Yeah.
Right.
So good.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Oh, you guys are amazing. That's so fun.
Oh.
You've created this intimacy action plan for our viewers. I wonder if you would just give us an overview of where to start if the level of intimacy in our marriage is lacking and we're ready to crank it up. What would you say that we should do?
I would say, and I don't know if you're thinking the same thing, but I would say, go back to the beginning. Go back to how you guys were when you were all in love and you couldn't wait to see him or her. The things that made you fall in love with that person back then, if it's not happening now, go back to that. My husband always says, you didn't hate the person that you married when you married them. You didn't hate them. So what were those things that made you fall in love with them? What were those things that made you be like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to see him again? Or, wow, I just cannot wait to see that woman again. What were those things that made you fall in love back then? What did you used to do? Where did you used to go? What did you used to talk about? What did you experience together? Yeah, all of those types of things. Go back to the beginning on how you were in the beginning. If it's not like, if you're feeling like, the intimacy is not there now, then something changed. And so go back to the beginning and try to experience those things again. A wonderful thing that we do sometimes, just as, you get busy in the week and stuff, you're doing your own thing with work or whatever. And sometimes you're not connecting like you should. And sometimes I'll say stuff like, hey, remember when we used to, like back in college, when I used to live in the apartment and you used to come over, just types of things that helps you remember and softens your heart a little bit. And you're like, man, yeah, I do remember that. Those were some good times. Just start there. Just start in the beginning.
That's good. I like that. I was going to say have a conversation, but I love that because you can incorporate conversation into that.
Yep.
And you can talk about the things that, what were we doing during those times? What were the places we were going to?
Yeah.
What was the food we were eating?
Right.
And you can reincorporate some of that stuff, right? Go back to some of those restaurants, go back to some of those places, relive some of those experiences, right? That will help you get back to where you want to be and have conversations. Be intentional about sharing your needs, what your most important emotional needs are as it relates to getting back in a space where you want to be. And I tell couples all the time, reminisce, I make these phrases up. So here's another one: reminisce your way back to romance, right? So
that's a good one.
That is good.
So I had a couple there. I was sitting with the couple. We were sitting with the couple, and it was kind of a tense session that we were having. And so I said, wait a minute, hold on, let's time out.
Everybody take a breather.
Here's what I want you guys to do for the next few minutes. I want you to think of an experience that you had in the past. And I just want you to share it with me. Something that you can look back on that was just a great experience. And they start looking at each other. You think of what I'm thinking? You think of what I'm thinking? And they start telling us about a trip they took to Paris. Monica, when I say the whole atmosphere of the session changed, they're laughing and joking. Yeah, you remember you said that when we went to dinner, and it was almost like they forgot why they were in the session.
It was like they forgot we were there.
Yeah, we're just sitting here like this watching them, and they're chuckling and laughing and bringing back up stuff. And then when they were done, I asked them, "How did you feel about that?" And the husband was like, "Yeah, you know what? That did kind of warm me a little bit." I said, listen, we do that periodically. And then we pull some stuff out of there. Like, it might not be, everybody might not be able to go back to Paris, but it might be a restaurant that you went to, or it might be a play that you went to see, or it might be just, you went to the botanical gardens and you love walking through there. We pull something out of there and we're like, okay, we're going to do that soon. And start to reincorporate that. So you're reminiscing your way back into romance. So I would start there.
Yeah. And I would add to when you said have a conversation, I think it's super important to be careful. For instance, if I was the one that was feeling disconnected and I felt like the romance just wasn't there anymore, it would be super important for me not to point the finger and be like, well, you used to do this and now you're always da 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 da. I think it's super important to be like, I kind of feel like I'm missing XYZ, or I'm feeling kind of, sad that this isn't happening anymore. I used to really like when you used to do XYZ, instead of pointing the finger and being like, you don't never do this anymore. You're always da 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 da.
That's good.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it, because what that helps to do is it doesn't feel like you're shooting arrows at the person, right? Because you don't want to do that. You don't want to shoot arrows at the person. You want to express your need, but you also want to express the why behind that. Man, I loved when this happened because it made me feel XYZ. And now, you can incorporate that person into your thoughts and feelings. And then you can express, man, we should do that again. Let's do that one day. So that's a good place to start. Now, obviously, let's do the other side of it real quick. If there's deeper things that are happening that are inhibiting you from getting to that space, for some people, it might be as simple as reminiscing your way back to romance. For some people, it may be sitting down with someone who can kind of unpack some of the things and help them point their way back to a place that was good for them, and then help to rebuild from that point on. So I would say, I just want to put that level of balance in there. Right. There may be some individuals who need to sit down with a clinical professional or with a coach that can help them unpack and help them designate what their needs are and begin to craft some strategy to get them back to that place as well.
Yeah.
Yes, that is great advice. And actually, my next question was to imagine that you had let yourselves not prioritize each other and get disconnected. What would you do? But I feel like we covered that really well. But is there like one thing in particular that if you woke up one morning and you were like, I'm feeling a little disconnected, that you would immediately go do?
Well,
I know that I would, probably not initially, but we would end up talking about it for sure.
Yeah.
And I know that we would do what I said. Man, I remember when this used to happen and I'm noticing it's not happening anymore. I really miss that.
Yeah. So I'll say this, right?
Oh my goodness.
I'm gonna go there for a second.
Oh Lord.
So we had this phrase, 2 words we would say, right? 2 ships. So you think about the phrase, two ships passing in the night, right? So when we felt like, man, things weren't happening, like 2 ships. And one of a couple things is going to happen, right? Either we're going to maybe go out to dinner, and that dinner experience maybe lead to, you know, something sensual or sexual afterward, or like we would just time out. Like sometimes you just got to time out and be like, hey, come here. You got to give them a come here right now. So yeah, that's kind of how we do things over here.
Well, I like the idea of having a code word, because I know for me, there's certain things in our relationship that are triggers, right? And so I know when I'm doing something that irritates my husband, he holds it in for a really long time. And so I'm like, why don't we have this code word? So if you're starting to feel like, you know, that is happening in our marriage, like we're feeling disconnected, or I'm not helping, or something like that, you can just say that code word. So instead of waiting until it just builds up and builds up and builds up, I'll hear the code word and go, oh yeah, I know what I need to do, right?
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, that's great. Yep.
That's a great tip.
Yeah, that is a good tip.
The code word thing is good.
Yeah.
Code words are so good. Well, that's part of my training in the art of sexpionage, right? We got to have a lot of code words.
Yes, exactly.
Well, this has been amazing. Thank you guys so much for your time today. Will you please tell the viewers where they can find you and learn more about the amazing things that you teach and talk about, and your books and all the things?
Sure. The quick way is to go to the website, which is Denoli, DENOLI.org. And from there, there's links to everything.
Yeah.
YouTube, social media, blog, books, T-shirts, all of that that's the central location.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you. It was our pleasure.
Thank you so much.
To learn more ways to deepen your intimacy and strengthen your relationship, make sure you watch this video next.